Hey everyone, Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing today? I hope all of you are doing good. How are you? How are you? How are you? Happy weekend, everyone. Kya haal hai? How's it going? Are you all having a good weekend? I hope so. So let's quickly there's so many messages about the chat GPT. We'll see if we get to talk about that in this one. But we'll at least continue the quiz app. Walaikum salam. Marhaba, brother. Sir, Hindi channel pe English. Arshad. That's a good question, Arshad. Yeah, I think this is going to still be just the live stream. जो videos इंशाल्लाह upload होंगी, I will make sure कि वो उर्दू में हो. So, are you excited about today's stream? Or if you are, what do you think हम आज किस technology पे app बनाएं? Because we already worked on React. Should we work on Angular today or SolidJS? What do you think? What do you think? Should we work on Angular today or SolidJS? Logitech G Hub. Wow. Okay. Don't want it. So I think I'm going to start with first introducing a new script so we can run the React application from within the root folder. So last time what we did was we implemented, let me actually bring this a bit down, like here maybe. Yeah. So last time what we did is we built the quiz application with React, and today we are going to try to either pick Angular or SolidJS based on what you recommend. So I got one vote for Angular. How many of you also think that we should go with Angular? Apart from Mohammed Abul Nasser. So first off, let me also add a command. We're going to call start React. Although I find it a bit weird because now we have two different things. We have build colon and build dash. Let's keep this consistent. So build React, build colon React. And then we should also have serve React. So we do the same thing and we run npm run start. So we are running the React app from our terminal. So we can say npm run serve React, which should trigger this script, and it would trigger this, and we should be good. What? Wait a second. Package JSON scripts serve React. Oh, because the quiz app React doesn't have it. Is that so? So this one has, this has dev. Yeah, right. So let's fix this. It should be npm run dev. So npm run serve React. And now it's going to run cd quiz app and npm run dev. And that should start the app on localhost 5173. So let's have a quick look at it. My screen is not clearly visible. It could be your internet, to be honest, because I can see the bitrate here is good. Everything looks green. Asif Hamid. So it might be your internet. I'm not 100% sure, but it could be your internet. So can everybody see the screen clearly? Can I get some yes in the chat? So I know everybody can see the screen clearly before we start. Because it's quite possible that we are going to have the same code base within different applications, or similar code base in different applications. So it's so I'm going to be copy pasting a lot of things. All right, so Muhammad Abdul Nasser says it's clear. So Abdul Samad, it could be your, or Abdul Hamid, it could be. Assalamu alaikum from your college at Sol. Yunus. Hey Yunus, how's it going? Thank you so much for chiming in, brother. Thank you. Good to see you here. So first of all, let's also turn on the mouse highlight so we see this purple little circle, so you know what I'm really doing. Mohammad Zishan, we already have the React app. Now we're going to work on the Angular one and the SolidJS one. So we're going to do the same thing, but in a different stack. So this is our app. We're going to copy paste a couple of things from the app, but right now, today we're going to start with the Angular version of the quiz app. So if you don't know yet, this repository or this code is actually deployed. So let me quickly give you what we have so far. I'm going to also zoom in a bit so you can see more of the code. Let's do one more. I think this is much better. So you can read all of this stuff even you're on a mobile phone. So what we have so far is we have a mono repository. So we have a single repository in which we have quiz app, React. We're going to have a quiz app Angular. We will have a quiz app SolidJS. And when we want to deploy it to GitHub pages, we use this build folder. So what we do is we run this build React script, which basically runs the build command, and then it generates this in this folder. And when we push to GitHub, we have this automation script or the action script. So on GitHub, what happens is that it goes and it checks whenever there's a push to GitHub. We essentially run this job called build and deploy. What this basically does is that this goes ahead and runs npm run CI and npm run build CI. This build CI is the command that generates this folder build React. And once that's done, it basically deploys the build folder to GitHub. So if you have a look at GitHub, let's see what we get. So git remote get URL, and then that should be origin. So this is our GitHub URL, this one. And if I click this link right here, I'm going to share this link in the chat as well if you want to have a look. Aswami says, now it's much better. Thank you for zooming in the screen. No problem. Happy. So if I go to quiz app React here, you can see that this is deployed. Now we are going to have quiz app Angular, quiz app SolidJS, just like this, right? But right now our app is actually deployed to GitHub pages, so people can actually use it, right? And you can see that the login and logout is also persisted. So if I log out, you're going to see that I'm logged out. If I try to go to the home page, it redirects me to login. until I, for example, go here and say salt, submit, and now you can see salt here. And if I refresh, I'm still going to be logged in. So our local storage is persisted in this case, right? So now that we have this, let's try to implement the same application in Angular. So what we are going to do is we are not going to use any third-party library in that case. We are going to just use behavior subjects because it's easier to implement it that way. Or we could, we could go and implement Redux if you want me to do it. So pick one. Should we go with Redux or should we go with simple state management? Because in React, what we did was we ended up creating a store in which we worked with this, where is it? Where we worked with Zustand. So if you want, we could implement Redux or NGRX. And if you want, we could implement something else, which could be a bit easier. Is there any backend app work done in this app? No. So what we do right here is we have this quiz app, which actually fetches the quizzes from, let me show you, from this gist. So I have a gist, which is just like GitHub, but it stores files. So I have this JSON file, and this contains the questions. So I just fetch it from here. So no backend. Project aside, I just finished mean stack course on recommended full stack project as a beginner. Mean stack. Can you recommend a full stack project as a beginner? You could try a couple of things. For example, if you go to do I have a YouTube redirect? I don't think so. Oh, I have. Cool. So on YouTube, if you go to CodeWithAhsan, you're gonna find a couple of projects that you could start with. For example, this is a meme generator tutorial that I built, and I can share this in the chat. So this is a full stack application in which you generate a meme, or you create a meme generator. So if you go to sigmamemer.com, I hope that this is still alive. Is it not? Oh, sigmamemer.com. Did I not pay for it? Maybe I did not. We'll see. In that case, let's see if I can go to Heroku. Node-Redis dashboard. Let's see. Accept all cookies. Who doesn't want it? Verify. Give me 1 second. Auth generator. Where is my Heroku? Yeah, there you go. 634407. Should I go with PostgreSQL or Mongo? Depends on your project. If you want a relational database, go for PostgreSQL. If you want a document database, then you can go with. I mean, if you have simple relations, you could still do it, but it really depends. Depends on your application. There's no one answer to everything, to be honest. Let's see, view logs. Should I restart all dynos? Yes, please. View logs. No web process is running. It looks like my app died, literally. Bam. I think because Heroku was about to shut down their services. That's why. Well, that's sad. But you could go and either try this meme generator app, or another full stack app I would suggest is, where is it? I wouldn't suggest this one because this one is a bit more complicated. Like in 6 hours, it's a bit too much. So I would suggest either or try something like this one. Nodes Frontend. Let's see. Yeah. Maybe this one is working. Maybe. Network error. Because I think this one also died then. Yeah. Damn, all of my Heroku instances are dead. I'm gonna have to move to railway or something. Well, we'll see. So Heroku is dead. Sad. I'm gonna have to move my stuff. But anyways, so you could either do a notes application. I was answering to Muhammad Abul Nasser. So a full stack notes application, a full stack chat application, a full stack quiz application. Do something like this. That would be my suggestion. Which one is better, Muhammad Zishan? Again, the same answer. It depends on what you want. If you want a relational database, go for PostgreSQL. If you want for MongoDB or document database, then go for MongoDB. I would suggest if you're a beginner, maybe go with MongoDB. And if you're more familiar with JSON or JavaScript, then go with that. Heroku isn't acquired by anyone. I think Heroku still is what it used to be, but or maybe it was acquired, but not recently. But they already announced that they're gonna stop the services or the free tier very soon. So yeah, I'm gonna be moving my stuff to Railway rather. But hey, anyways. So how about we start building stuff with Angular? So I'm gonna close this. Let's see. And this is the gist. And we're gonna obviously take some inspiration from our code in there. So this is a deployed one. This is the local one. So what we are going to do now is we're going to create a new app. So in here, you can see we have Quiz App React. So first of all, I'm going to install the latest version of Angular CLI. So I can say npm install, or not npm install, but yeah, npm install -g Angular/CLI. So one way is to install the package here, or you could also do, I think you could also do something like npx Angular CLI, and then you can do ng new, and then you can give the app name. So here you can say quiz app Angular with 2 P's in the app. So we have Quiz App React, Quiz App Angular. Here we are going to do a couple of things. First of all, we want routing to be implemented in there. Then we also want the style to be SCSS. I mean, it really doesn't matter because we could use CSS or SCSS in this. How about we keep it CSS so we can, yeah, we can then copy paste things easier. So we got routing there, we got style there. Anything else? And I'm gonna use a dry run flag so I can show you what really happens when you do it. So it's going to install the following packages, and let's see what the output is. So just a last quick question: printing too many things at once in the browser or fetching too many things from server database at once? What is the question though? Are you talking about if it's good or not? Obviously it's not good if you're printing too many things at the same time. Let's have a look. Can't I now do that? Angular IO, get started, try Angular. Yeah, no, why would I try Angular? This has changed. I mean, this has really, what really happened? What just happened? It looks like Chrome died. What? What just happened? Restore. Thank you. Chrome died. Why did Chrome die? That's weird. Triangular, learn more. Any app size. They have updated this site. But I want to. Previously, I think it was much better because I could see from the command line. Yeah, here. So npm init Angular my app. So this is the new way of doing it. Looks like cool. So let's try that then. So we're gonna go to our CLI and then npm init Angular, and then we are going to say quiz app Angular. Which one is not recommended to do? Both is not recommended to do. Don't do too many requests unnecessarily to your server. Also, don't print too many things on your browser. Excess of anything that you're doing is not good. So we did npm init angular quiz app angular, and let's let it install. Would you like to add angular routing? Yes, I would. Ooh, no, I did. No, I'm gonna do it again. I think it's just not going to install the package. Cool. So we say y, yes, css, scss, sass, or less css. So now it's creating the quiz app angular package. And now the question is, should we work with Redux in Angular, or should we just implement the basic state management or out of the box state management by RxJS? What do you think? Redux or not Redux, or no Redux? By the way, did we end up implementing Redux DevTools in here? We did, right? How about we also use Redux in here? Kia Alex, hi, I want to offer promotion to your channel. The price is lower than any competitor. Nah, thanks. Thanks, but no thanks. Alrighty. So we then write a script to start the Angular app. So let's do a serve Angular, and then here we do cd quiz app Angular and npm run start, which essentially serves it. So from the project root, I can now run npm run serve Angular. And you can see that now it runs ng serve behind the scenes. So when we run this, it goes into the folder, it starts the Angular application, and then it serves it. Please make a complete React tutorial in Urdu. Okay, sure, I will. Alrighty. So in this one, let's have a look. So what I'm gonna do is we're going to start with the HTML. So yeah, we'll see. So we are going to create the routes. Then we are going to implement each route one by one. Then we are going to implement the state management, okay? I'm just going to change things here and there. So you're going to see the difference between the React world and the Angular world. So today, I think let's just focus on Angular and not go too far on SolidJS. And the next week, we are going to then look into SolidJS. So now that our application is served, let's have a look at what comes out of the box from Angular. So this is what comes out of the box from Angular. So it's a really nice little template out there with some animations, blah, blah, blah. So let's have a look at what kind of pages do we need, right? So if I go to my React application, you're going to see that we have a couple of pages. One is home and one is login. So we have two different pages, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create those two components, and I'm going to, and I'm going to just make them standalone because I don't want to have a module and then a lot of jargons there. So let's keep it simple. And do we have any CSS for the home? Let's see, index.css. I think then we have home tsx, which had most of the styles right there. So we don't. Yeah, I think. All right, yeah. So let's open another one. So I'm gonna now create a couple of things in the Angular application. So we need two pages. One is home, one is login. So I'm gonna go to cd quiz app Angular. And here we are going to now do ng generate component. And here I'm going to see what options do I have when I'm generating a component. So the really good thing about Angular that I really love is that it has a CLI. So you can actually run commands instead of just creating all the files yourself. So in this one, what I want to do is I want it to be inline style, inline template, and so it would be s-t, and I also want it to be standalone, right? So I'm gonna say ngg, and in here I'm gonna say home, and then s, which means inline style, inline template for T, and then stand alone. So when we do this and we run dry run, it's going to tell us, the CLI tells us what would really happen when we do this. Sorry, it should be nggc Angular generate component, and the name is home. All right. So when we have this, we can hit run. And here it would do something like this. So it would create two files. One's going to be the spec file, which is a test file. And the second one is just the TypeScript file. So you can see that traditionally in Angular, we used to have a lot of files if we don't do this. For example, if I remove standalone, let's see what really happens. So if I do no standalone, then it would still create the module. Or actually, it's going to add this to the app module, right? So it's not an standalone component, then that's registered with the app module in that case, as you can see here. Now, if I have a look at removing the T, then you're going to see that we are also going to create the HTML file. So if I hit enter now, you're going to see that now we'll also get the HTML file because it's not inline template. And if I remove the S, that would mean that now we are also going to get the CSS file as well. So here you can see the CSS file. So what we want to really do is do this: standalone, styles inline, template inline, and dry run. Because now we are working with, after working with React for so much, or maybe you're fond of having everything in one single file. So this is the easiest for you, lesser files to manage. Yay! Mohammed Abul Nasser says, Angular Cookbook is amazing. Currently going through it since Angular 15 came with a lot of changes. Will there be a follow-up for the book like version 2? I'm really glad that you asked. I actually started working the day before yesterday on the first chapter of the Angular Cookbook version 2. So it's actually coming in very soon. And the great thing is that we already got the go-ahead, obviously, from the publishers. So we are really happy that it's going to be out pretty soon. I'm not really sure if it's going to be on version 15 or version 16. It really depends on how quickly I'm able to update all of those, because when I'm working now on the book, I'm getting a lot of ideas and I do want to stop myself of putting too many things in there. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. But I started working on the version 2 now. But keep letting me know if you find something weird in the version 1 or the Angular Cookbook, and if you have any suggestions, just let me know. So now that we have talked about this, we're gonna remove the dry run flag so we can really create the home folder. So it creates a new folder automatically inside the source folder app, and here you can see now we have a home folder. Similarly, I'm going to go ahead and add another folder. We're going to call it login, and it's also going to be a standalone component, and you can see a new folder and file. So I really love Angular because of these things. You can get started so quickly. I love it. Now that we have those, you're going to see that in the routing, we do have these routes that we are passing in here. And here you can now start actually passing the components as well. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that the first route that we want is going to be path slash, or path is going to be empty actually, and the path match is going to be full. So notice that I don't have to really install a package for routing, unlike React or SolidJS. I don't want a Angular router separately or install it. So I'm going to say path match full, and here I'm going to say load component. So load component is going to take a function which essentially imports, if I'm doing it correctly, because this is the first time I'm doing it within a standalone component. So we are going to see how that really goes. So it's going to be home and home component, right? And then you have then you import m, and then you basically say m dot home component. Is that correct? I think that's correct. So essentially what we are telling Angular to do here is that we are saying, hey, for the root path, we're going to load a component which is in this file. And in this file, when you try to get it, it essentially exports an ES module or a module. And then you basically say, hey, the module dot home component. So in this home, we are exporting this class home component, which we refer to here now. DevD, hey, how's it going, man? How are you doing? So now that we have the default route, we're going to add the other one. So that's going to be called login, and we can remove the path match full from this one. And in here, and I'm going to just rename this to login.component. And as you can see, it tells you that what's going on here. It says Angular blah blah to you. Go away. No, I love Angular, man. It's awesome. Super cool. So now that we have login here, we got two routes. Let's actually see if we are able to make them work. So just with a couple of lines, you can see that if I go to my app component here, we have to add one little thing, and that is an outlet. So what I'm going to do really is I'm going to remove everything from this page, and then I'm going to just go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to use something called a router outlet, which means that anything that is a route comes under this one. So if I refresh now, you can see it says home works. Yay! Because on the default route, it shows the home component. If I inspect this and zoom in a bit, you're going to see inside the body, we have this root component at the very top. And then you have this router outlet, and any route that you have comes right under it as a sibling element. So we have app home here. And if I go to /login, you're going to see that it's exactly the same, but this one says now login works. And inside app router, now we have the app login component. So easy peasy. In just a couple of seconds, we have now set up the routing. Do they still not support SSR natively? Thoughts on SSR being something that you absolutely need for building front-end apps, like the client side, white, vanilla, React, not good enough. I don't think we are there yet with white, vanilla, React, to be honest. When it comes to Angular Universal has always been there. I don't know if you have checked it out. So Angular Universal is something that is official. I mean, it's official from the Angular team. So when we think about, hey, does Angular really support server-side? Yeah, it does, because they have Angular Universal, and you can use that to server-side render your components. But I think when it comes to really using React with SSR or SSG or ISR, blah, 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 I'm going to always go to Next.js because I haven't found anything better yet, or I have not experimented with anything better yet. So yeah, I think my bet would be on, yeah, it would be on Next.js so far. But do you think you need SSR? I think it makes sense to a lot of things. In a lot of places, you could not use it, but I don't really think that, or what I think is it's really good to have SSR wherever you can to make the load time as low as possible. That's a first. Then also, since you're caching pages, it's gonna obviously give you better results. It also gives better results for the SEO because you have everything rendered. And SSR not really only helps with SEO, but also, I mean, it does with SEO, but also in a lot of matrices with SEO. It's not just that, hey, this is an element that is H1 and H2 and H4 on the pages, but it's also matrices like your layout shift, because when you have server-side rendered page, your layout is not shifting because it's already rendered. So even in SEO, there are minute details now which Google engines or other engines also, or especially Google, they are now looking for those things. And if you don't have SSR, then yeah, I think it's going to not be so cool. Shahjahan Sarfraz, assalamu alaikum. How are you doing? I'm doing good, alhamdulillah. How are you doing? So one of the things that I just saw, this one is called Quiz App React with the spaces. This one is called Quiz App Angular, no spaces. Let's fix that. I'm gonna go to index.html and change this to this Angular. Now it should look nice right here. Am I still serving the app? Yes, I am. Yay, there you go. So now that we have that done, oh, what happened? There was an error? No? Oh, that's an extension. Load times can be solved with route loaders if I don't want to show spinners. I think there are a lot of techniques that you could do for load times. You could load items when your user is in the idle state. as you already mentioned, we can do route level code splitting. We can also do stuff like, hey, just load this component dynamically whenever I want it. And as I said, you can also load items on or predicted items or routes on the user being idle. So it really depends. But yeah, I think SSR has its own value, and it's really useful in a lot of places. In many of the apps, you wouldn't really want it. If the app is really dynamic, you don't care about the SEO that much. So yeah, that's my take on it. Which of the three frameworks are you going to use today? We're working with Angular today. SSR just shows a blank screen, though in most cases until screen loads don't spinner make more sense to that. No, that's not really true. SSR shouldn't show blank screens. No, that's I don't think that's accurate. So, or if that's the case, then it's not really doing anything with the SSR. If I'm talking about SSR, that means that as soon as I load the page, it should be like this. Can you see how snappy this is? Now, this is server-side generated, of course. So SSR wouldn't be as fast, but as soon as your page renders, so you have different phases, and I think I can do a complete different stream on the process itself. But the process that goes like your browser tries to load the HTML, or first makes a connection or does a handshake with your server, then loads the HTML, then puts the HTML on the DOM, then it also starts rendering JavaScript, then it compiles JavaScript and then shows it. So with SSR, the first step where you get the HTML from your server, it should be a rendered page. If it's a blank page, then you have not done it correctly. Or even if it shows a spinner, you have not done it correctly. Because ideally, it should have rendered the page, the content that should be shown to the user, because that means that the time to interactive for that particular use case should be quick, snappy. For example, imagine a admin page in which a super user or a company owner is trying to see, for example, a query, a search query from for the employees, for example. So it should show a table of 20 employees right there. Now someone else copies this URL and sends it to the super admin. If I'm the super admin, if I go and on the browser and if I try to hit enter on the address bar, immediately it should render the 20 employees. I shouldn't see a loader. I shouldn't see a blank screen, because as soon as you enter the route, you hit enter, it should go to the server. The server should get all the data from the database. It should render the entire HTML with those employees. And the only thing that would be remaining is the JavaScript, because the HTML would be entirely rendered. As soon as the page loads, the user sees that immediately. JavaScript kicks in, it rehydrates on the client side, and then you immediately start interacting with it. But if you see a loader or a blank screen, no, not done correctly. In short, this is why SSR makes more sense for static pages that don't need to fetch data. This is why landing pages should be SSR, because they need good SEO. I would disagree on that a bit, because if that's the case, that you don't need to fetch data, then just do a statically generated page. So SSG, static site generation. For example, the CodeWithAhsan site is essentially having SSG on almost all the pages. If you go to courses, this is statically generated. If you go to, for example, the blog, this is also statically generated, just apart from the image. And for example, if I go to courses and if I go to this view page source, can I do a line wrap? Yeah. You're gonna find that, let's see, what courses do we have? Web Development Bootcamp 2022. Web Development. Do you see that highlighted? So this Web Development Bootcamp 2022 is actually rendered from the server. So it's not rendered on the client side. But this is not even rendered on the server. This is the exact HTML that is just there. So this HTML is statically generated when I build this for my server, because this doesn't need to fetch anything. All it needs to show is a bunch of courses that I've already deployed. I'm not dynamically adding any courses. If I do, I'm just going to go ahead and just trigger another build. This is not something that my users are going to, doing it really, really fast. SSG is a subset of SR because it's get generated build time. You could say that. I do put it in a very different category, to be honest, because it's so it's so easy to get confused with all of that. So what I usually talk about is either you have client-side rendering, you have server-side rendering, or you are statically generating your site. It's done on the server, not really, to be honest, because it's either on runtime or on build time. You could put it there, but I think then the Jamstack, whenever we talk about Jamstack, that's also statically generated. You just convert a markdown into HTML, right? So is Jamstack also SSR? I don't think people would agree to that. Hamad Khanzada, thank you so much for the follow. Vivi has asked a question maybe, and I missed it. Did I? Please let me know, sir. Vivi, please let me know, sir. Vivi Glow Natural. What are you asking? I don't even understand the question. What should I let you know? If I use Vivi Glow Natural? No, I don't. No, I don't. I do use sometimes. It's called. I don't recall even the name of it. But anyways. So let's get back to the coding part. So right now we have our routes. SSG never happens on runtime. Yep, I agree. It only happens on build time. And so does the Jamstack in that case. So Jamstack also never happens on the runtime. So you build it, you put it, and then it's SSG essentially, but it's then not rendered on server per se. It's just a build time where you could generate it on your own PC, push it. Now it's not your server doing anything with it. You just have a process. You could have it anywhere. I want to make the IP to point to my domain. Any ideas? I'm hosting a site in EJS using Discord bot hosting. I want to the IP to point to my domain. I think you should look into the domain registry. For example, GoDaddy. If you go to GoDaddy, which is obviously a domain provider, it on the settings, it has a way to point to a particular IP address. So you're gonna have to look into your domain provider and the settings to it. VV Glow Natural. It would be nice if I can know your name. It's like VV Glow Natural. VV Glow Natural. So give me an example where I would not want to do SSR. For example, if you have a page where you have a video player and you have nothing else. For example, if you're doing a peer-to-peer thing like Google Meet, you don't need SSR for that because your app would load, your JavaScript should trigger, and it should start streaming your video. So that's not really a good case for SSR. You don't need it there. Similarly, you don't need it on the about page or the privacy page or the terms and condition page. So some of the pages where you would not want layout shift, where you wouldn't be concerned about layout shift or anything that has to do with showing a lot of data, SSR can be avoided if you don't want to bloat your servers, for example. Hey, no problem. Pippin, that's an interesting name. And thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. So no problem, Devdi. Really good discussion. Thank you for asking good questions. I love good questions. It also helps me challenge myself, so to say. So now that we have home and login, how about we start coding, right? How about we code it just like we have the React app? So first of all, I'm going to look at the index.html. We don't have anything in the index.html on React side. Then we have the app.tsx in which we have all the routes defined. And then we have a layout that we use, and then we have home and login, right? So what I'm going to do is that instead of this layout component, we will treat our app.tsx as the layout, but we also have a header component that I want to copy. So this is the header component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this, the header component per se, and I'm going to go and create a component for header in Angular. So I'm going to do ng generate component inline style inline template, and I'm going to create it in the components folder, which by the way does not exist. And one of the things I love about Angular is that it creates the folder if it's not there. So I don't need to go and create a right click and new folder. And so I'm going to say components, and then here I'm going to say header, and then is that it? And standalone. Do I need a standalone in this? Let me think. Pa-pa-pow. Pa-pa-pa-pow. I don't need a standalone to be there because this is supposed to work with the app module. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. But then, no, I think we're good. So doesn't have to be standalone. So components, header. Now we have the header files created, but also updated the app module because it has to be registered in here in the top. Now I can go inside my app HTML, and just above the router, I'm going to actually wrap this into a div, and I'm going to call this app. And in here, I'm going to have router outlet, but also I'm going to have the header. So let's go with a app header component. Remember, when you create whenever you create a component in Angular, it is prefixed with something, and that is to differentiate this header between, let's say, a third-party library. For example, if you created a button, it would be called app button, and if you had a third-party library like Bootstrap, if its name is also button, then there's going to be a conflict. So Angular handles it by automatically putting some prefixes. And if you want to change those prefixes, if you want to say, hey, this is app header, but I want something like salt header, salt button, or I don't know, whatever, or Pakistan button. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to find the prefixes. Those are usually, I think, in the angular.json. And in here, you will find this prefix. If you change this, it's going to help Angular understand that the prefix has to be something different. But then it's going to start complaining. For example, I could say something like Pakistan for PK. But if I do this, and then if I go to component TS here, or actually just not that, but then also you would have to change it in TS config, where we have, or is it app.json? Oh, wait a second. Prefix. Let's go with prefix. So Angular.json, and there's also one more file. Or did they remove it? Oh, they did remove it. Sneaky. Does my Angular app still work? It does. Header works, home works. Previously, they used to have it in a TS config JS where you could go ahead and change the prefix. Compiler options, prefix. No, there's no prefix here. It's interesting. They have changed it. Our dir main include. Alrighty, then I'm gonna go and see to it that this is changed. For example, if I now create a new component, header 2, and I also make it standalone, so this is not added to my module, then see what happens. So if I go to header 2 inside components, open it, you can see that now this is PK header. So it takes the value from Angular.json and then puts it there. Previously, there was also a tsconfig value, or I think it was in the ESLint.json. I don't really recall, but that also helped you with this one, because if you had a different one here, it would start complaining and you had to fix it. But hey, it's fine. So I'm going to remove rmrf. Is it source app components header 2? Boom, removed. Looking at the questions now, are you going to use single state management on React? Signal state management on React? Not in this one, Hamad. In this one, we used Zustand. What framework would you use for React if you could not use Next.js? For React, I'm not really sure. I could use Remix. I found it useful, but I think it's still not there. It's there for really specific use cases, for especially around isomorphic rendering. But if not Next.js, then maybe Remix. Remix would be it. What framework would you? Okay, I answered that. Any chance I can DM you on Discord? I have a doubt about the domain routing to my IP port. Yeah, definitely. Do send me a message on Discord. So now that we have the header component, let's actually copy paste the header component from React. So I'm going to copy just the template from here. I'm going to go to my header.component.ts, and in the template, I'm going to paste all of this. Paste, paste, paste. Why can't I paste? Why can't I paste? Did I not copy it correctly? What's happening? Header.tsx. Copy. Copy, 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 copy. Where is copy? Copy. Control C. Then here, yeah, now I can paste it. So here we got the header, as you can see. I'm going to rename the class name to class, right? What am I doing? Because I was thinking how to add Tailwind CSS into Angular, I got distracted. So class, please. So we do class, blah, blah, blah. Save it. Why does it say unexpected character end of file? Do you want to do? Oh, because we have a couple of things in there. Yeah, we're going to change that. So let's change this on click to nothing. I'm going to actually remove this on click from here. Then we also have username and blah, blah, blah. We don't really do that in React. I remember the, what is it called? The meme that like, we don't do that. Send friend request, but you can also send me a message without even friend request. I don't usually accept friend requests, but I also always reply to messages. So this is log out. In here, in Angular, we have a double curly brace and not a single one. We don't have a username here, so we're going to create that here just for the sake of simplicity for now. So it's going to be called username, and let's call this Ahsan for now. And that's it, right? So if I go to my app, you can see that it renders a couple of things, but we don't have Tailwind there. So let's quickly add Tailwind CSS, tailwindcss.com. I love Tailwind CSS, just a disclaimer, no brainer. And you go to framework guidelines, you go to Angular, you go and do this. So I'm going to go to my console, add this quiz app Angular, npx Tailwind CSS init. Do it. Cool. Now I got to update the content. So I'm going to go to the content file. No, actually the Tailwind config.js. This file. Update the content, source, any HTML, any TypeScript, or actually any CSS as well, because I might put things in. Oh, no, I don't have to put CSS because it's already compiled. So just the HTML. Then we have style CSS. So we add our styles, or actually here. So we add it here. And that's pretty much it. So we can quickly restart the server. And then we should be able to also look into the Tailwind config in that case. I wonder if the VS Code would understand the Tailwind CSS right now, because I wonder if it works from the top Tailwind config, because right now the Tailwind config is in the folders, right? So I wonder if it works. I think it should. So let's try something out. If I go and say class bg red, yeah, it does. Cool. So I can do this then. Save this. Go to my browser. Go to Angular. Quiz app Angular. Yay! You can see that we get the header like this one, right? As you can see. But we have some things going on that are weird. For example, this button. It's not styled because we did something really specific in the CSS. So we're going to copy that. But not this one. If I put a background to body, you can see that it works. However, I see that for some reason, it doesn't reload. It compiles it successfully, but the browser doesn't reload it for some reason. We'll see. But let's quickly fix the button scenario. So from the quiz app React source, we had the index CSS, and we also added a couple of buttons there, right? So let's quickly go and copy the styles from index CSS into here, save this, and now you can see we got a button. Yay! So now we got the logout and home works as well. Now let's quickly go ahead and copy the, we're going to copy the home page actually, or the login page per se. So we're going to go to pages, login.tsx, and here we got a bunch of template here. So I'm going to copy this template. I'm going to close all other files. And now we are going to go to Angular, and my camera just died. So give me 1 second to update it. I like that my camera dies because then I know I've been online for almost an hour, which is good. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go to my code, and I'm going to go to Quiz App Angular source app pages, or not pages, but rather home and login. So I'm going to go to login.ts. I'm going to paste the code here. I'm going to rename the class name to class, and I'm going to remove the handlers. So right now here we have this on change. So I'm going to remove it from here, and we are going to look into how we fix that. So we got this here, we submit the form, and then we should be good to go. So if I refresh this now, and if I try to go to the login page, you can see that this is being rendered. And if I see this versus this, it's not really the same because I need to zoom in to, what is it? Is it 200? So 150. Let's do 150 both for both. So you can see there's a slight difference between those two. This is like doing some margin thingy. So let's quickly fix that. What is it that gives this a margin? So the main itself, we have a header, and then we have a main, and we have a class of P4. So we don't have that here in our app. So we're going to go to our app component HTML, and here you're going to see that we have a header, and then we have a P4. So we're going to do what just happened. So you're going to go and do main.p-4. So we create a main with a class pf4, and then we move this guy inside, and then we should be good. So now if I go and remove this, now you can see that both of them are equally equal, right? Super cool. Super duper cool. So now that we have both of the app having same thing login, we're going to go and render now the, let's actually work on login before, or I'm thinking now, we could go ahead and start working with, to be honest, we can start working with the home page. So let's do that. So I'm going to go to home. I'm going to go to home TSX, and here we got all of this code. So I'm going to copy this, and remember, we are not doing anything with any of the states so far. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to home TS, and here we got this. Let me quickly finish, or let me quickly, my headphones died. What? Why though? Do I have less battery? No, I don't know why. So now that we have this, let's see. So we should have a score. We should have some ask questions length. So I'm going to hard code those right now. So let's say score is 0. Ask question length is 0 out of, I don't know, 10. Then we have a current question. If there's a current question, we render it. If it's the game finish, we render it. So I'm going to put a condition in here. We're going to say current question equals null for now. And then game finished equals false for now. So there are two different states that we are working with. Is game finished and question. So is game finished equals to false, and current question equals to null. So what I'm going to do is, we don't have this this notation in Angular. So instead of doing that, we put this into an ng if. So we do an ng container, and then here we do a static ng if, and we say current. If there is a current game, then isn't it called current question, sorry, current question. Then we do this. So we render a question in that case, And we do the same thing for this guy. So we say ng container, it is. And then we do a static ng if, and we say is game finished. And then here we can just render this. So game finished, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to fix it as well. So now that we have this, I'm going to quickly do this. So we should be passing something in here. We are not passing that at the moment. Then we also have answer selected as something something. So I'm not doing that as well. So let's quickly answer selected. And in Angular, you need to close the elements. There is no self-closing thingy in Angular, unless you're working with something like an image or something. So in here, it says current question does not exist on type home component. Did you mean blah, blah, blah? Current question, isn't that the one? Oh, current question. There you go. Is game finished? We cool. It doesn't understand those components. So we are going to now render those. So I'm going to still save this, still with errors, but let's create those components now. So inside the components folder, I need to create a couple of components, game finished and question. So let's do a ng generate C component, style inline, template inline, and then we're not gonna do standalone there. We're gonna be doing a, wait a second, is the header standalone? It's not, right? No, it's not. Cool. So here we got st components, and now I could do what did I call it? It was a question. And then we also had another one that's called game finished. So question and game finished. So in the components, we got question and game finished now. So we can start using those. Now in Angular, we don't have things like, wait a second, the capital form of the name. So this is not going to be question, it's going to be app question, right? Question. It's going to be app question. Oh, but now I have a problem, because game finished and question, they're not supposed to be part of the app module. They're supposed to be part of the home component rather. So that means that they're going to be standalone, because now I could import them into multiple places. So I've got to revert those. So game finished, question, can I remove them, please? Yes, I could. Delete. Then I need to revert app module to remove question component, game finished component. I'm going to delete those. Super cool. It's green. Now let's generate them again. So question is standalone. And then game finished, standalone. Sudarshan Sharma says, hi, Ahsan, what's up? I'm good. How are you, Sudarshan? Good to see you after so long. So in the home component now, I can add these app question and game finished. Right now, they don't exist. But if I go here and I say import, it should say imports. Or, oh, I already have imports. That's why it's, yeah, imports. And here now I can say it was a question component, and then also the game finished component, right? If I do this now, you're going to see that this is red because this is supposed to be called app game finished. Remember, we have the prefix in Angular. So app game finished, app question, super good. Now, if I try to go to my homepage in Angular app, what does it say? Question component appears in imports, but it's not standalone or cannot be imported ng module. What? Components, question, isn't it in standalone? It is actually. It was just Angular server behaving weird. So now we are at the home page, And you can see we have some information, but not really the one that we really want. So we are going to start working with the data by default, and then we are going to just pass them into the components. So in the home, we really want the data. So in here, if I go to my gist, I'm just going to copy it and paste it inside home component as a data. So I'm going to say something like questions, blah, 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 like this, right? And then I'm just going to save this. And here, I'm just going to mark the current question as the first question. So here, I'm going to say ng on in it when we have the component initiated. We're going to say this dot current question equals this dot questions, the first one, right? We don't have interfaces yet, but we are going to provide them in a bit. So I'm going to put any, don't judge me yet. Don't judge me yet. So now if I go to Angular, you can see question works. So it shows the first question, but it doesn't show the rendered version of it. So we're going to import the interfaces and then work with those. So Darshan says, I want to learn about GraphQL. Where should I learn it from? Can you see if Vespos has a GraphQL course? Vespos GraphQL. Yeah, this one. I would suggest going through this course because I remember that Vespos had this. So Vespos is a really good, really good teacher. You can look at React and GraphQL here and learn a lot of cool stuff from here. So look at that one. Alrighty, so now that we have the question works here, let's copy the template from questions. So I'm going to go to React question TSX. We should have a question, and here we have all the HTML. So I'm going to copy the article here, and I'm going to go to Angular app and the question component.ts. I'm going to replace this template, this nice little template, with what I just copied. And now I want to make sure that this question component receives a prop like the React one. So in here, if I go to question.tsx, you're going to see that this receives two props. One is the question, and the second one is the answer selected, which is an output or a function. So we're going to work with this question. We're going to make Angular receive this prop per se, but in Angular, we call it input. So this question component is going to be a of type question. So if I go to my interfaces here, I should have a, where do I have my interfaces? Do I have it in store? Maybe I have them in store. So here we have things like quiz question, app stores. I'm going to just put this here. I'm going to copy this interface. I'm going to make a new folder inside my Angular application, inside app. I'm going to call it interfaces. And in here, I'm going to call something like quiz.interface.ts. I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to import this quiz question and say that, hey, in this quiz question component, when I create something, I'm going to take an input. Oh, because the template is broken, it just doesn't want to work. How do we want to do this? We're going to go to our home. Let's start with here. So the current question type should be quiz question. This should be imported from the interfaces. And we're going to make sure that we tell TypeScript that this is not initiated in the beginning, but trust us, we'll assign it. Then what we do is we assign the current question as, and we don't need as any, because we are going to tell that these questions are also of type quiz question array. Cool. Now what does it say? Quiz answer. What? Oh, because we have an array inside an array. So let's remove this guy from here. What do we have now? So this one says asked is declared there. Property asked is missing in type. Question. Oh, because in the quiz question, the asked should be a optional type, not really the main type. So now if I look at the home component, our question data is good. We have a current question. We're using the app question component, and this question should actually receive a prop called question, right? And if we go to our component here, we're gonna actually remove this for now, just for the sake of simplicity. This is gonna have a double curly braces question dot question. We're gonna use an input here. Why doesn't it import from Angular yet? Input. So input is going to be called question. This is going to be of type quiz question. And this is going to be a bang here because we know it's going to be there always. So question.question is there. Then this is what we have. So what we do is we run a loop over the question answers and we render those. So we're going to do that in just a bit. Shazib Ali, salam alaikum wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So instead of object.keys question answers, what we are going to do is, so because we have that as an object, we have the answers as key. And then what do we have? All right, so let's do that. So in the UL, we're going to put an li. On click, we're not going to do anything. So I'm just going to remove this for now. We don't need a key in here. We should have an answer here. And we are going to say something like ng4. So for, we're going to say, because I believe ng4 also runs on, or I know ng4 also runs with object values, but I want to Google what that is. So ng4 object key values. So for let item of is what we use. But is that true? No. But we have the key values. No. But we have the key value. All right, we'll see. So we have let for question, let question, or we say q of, or is it answer of question dot answers, and then we do key. I don't think so there's a pipe, to be honest, but we'll see. Have you built this app in React? And we already know this is just in React so far. So the answer is question answer key. There's the only thing I want to have. So in here, do we have a key value pipe? Oh, we do have a key value pipe. Cool. So then when did they add it? Anyways, so we have a key value pipe. So we have answer of question dot answer, and we could also do something like, I think, key and answer of question answers. Can we do that? Can we do this? No, we can't. Cool. So we have answer, question, answers. We save this. And now let's see. So if I'm going to go to my app right now, we have to pass the question like this. So we say bracket question equals current question. So now if I do this, you can see which of the purpose of the JavaScript. So we are rendering the answer right there, because each answer is an object. And what we should render actually in a question is this. So if I go to the question, we render the answer, but we basically say question answers key. So we loop over them. Let's see. Angular key value pipe. This is something that you usually don't get to do when you're really working on usual applications. So key value, then you have, okay. So then the answer, I got it. So in here, the answer itself in the question component, this answer itself contains a key value string. So here we have answer.value and answer.key. So we want the value to be shown. Yeah, there we go. Which is the response of JavaScript to style the HTML, blah, blah, blah. So we got it there. Cool. Now that we have got this, let's also have a look into other things. Whaler Gaming is asking, which language is this? This is the Angular framework. This is HTML. This is TypeScript. And we have a bunch of CSS laying around as well. So yes, that's what we have. So one thing that I'm right now concerned about is why my CSS is not being applied. So we have cursor, pointer, hover, PG slate, text, blah, blah, blah. But I don't see any CSS. Why is that though? We'll see. So question comes here. We have articles here. And then inside, if I go to quiz interface, I can remove this, close this guy, close app component HTML, login TSX. So let's just focus on two things, the home, the question component, and that's it. So if I look at this now, this should have a border color. Why don't I see a border color here though? H2 should be there. So UL is there. We got grid columns. But where are the styles for the grid? That's interesting. That's interesting. Is this because this is a standalone component? But no, I think, is this, no, wait, what? Wait a second. So we got a hover PG, we got the article here, app question, ng reflect question, blah, blah, blah. Flex, justify between. Are we having our styles applied? Maybe the color is white. No, I don't think so. I don't see the, I don't see any of the styles being applied, to be honest. Yeah, let's see. So in the home component, if I go ahead and say something like class. Oh, wait a second. I know what's happening. This is class name. That's what's happening. So this should be renamed to class. Yeah. I was like, this doesn't sound good. It shouldn't be class name. So remind me of changing class name to class in every component. You see, this is now good as well. So it shouldn't be class name in Angular. Okay, so we got this. We got the component rendering this these values now. Okay, so we got question component that is rendered now. The only thing is the game finish thing. Magic, yeah. So the only thing remaining is the game finished, and then we can look at state management. So I'm gonna go to the game finished. I'm gonna copy the styles here. The only thing that this takes is a retake quiz handler. Okay, so remember that we are gonna use that later. So I'm gonna go to game finished, paste this, rename the class name to class, first thing first. And then if you have a look, it just takes this on click. So I'm gonna remove this for now. And right now it's not gonna render, as you can see. But if I go to my home component, and here we should have either the game finished or the current question, right? So if we have the game finished, then this shouldn't be showing. So we can say not game finished and current question, then you show that. Otherwise you just, you show this guy. So I'm gonna just make this true. And then if I go here, you can see that it says quiz finished, retake quiz, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, cool. So now we are saying that only show this when this is false and current question exists, but this is true. So it doesn't show the question, but it rather just shows the game finished because this one is true. Easy peasy. All right. Now that we have these, let's talk about how we can implement state management here. So first of all, what I want to do really is to look into ngrx component store with DevTools, right? So we got can be viewed on Redux. Can we do that? So now the only thing that I'm concerned about is this. If I inspect this, go to Redux toolkit, and here you see init. If I say something like Ahsan, hit enter, you can see that we are triggering some actions on Redux. So the question now becomes, do we want Redux to be implemented to see our state in the state like this, or we don't do it? So it's up to us, to be honest. I think to keep this similar, we can use Redux in this case, but let's see. So we got component store, overview. This doesn't really work with that, but it makes things easier for us to manage. But it's then not exactly the same as how we did the other one. So I want to make it simple, but also want to make it similar, if you understand what I mean. So let's do this. Let's actually implement store. So I'm gonna call this ng add ngrx store. So we can start with that. So ng add ngrx store. And then I also want to add the DevTools. So I'm gonna do this afterwards. So let's see. 15 would be installed and executed. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it. So packages installed, app module updated. Let's have a look at the app module. What do we have here? What is NGX? NGRX is basically an Angular extension that implements Redux, just like React, into Angular. So we got a store module for root here. Let's add DevTools. And then let's quickly have a look at the actions reducers and selectors. Meta reducers, we don't want that. We are also going to implement effects, but I'm gonna have a look in just a minute. So how do we create actions? Like this. And then we dispatch them. So let's do that. Yo, Transigner, how's it going, man? How are you doing? So we're gonna create a store folder, or can we create a store actually? Let's see. I think I should be using configuration. No, there should be a schema. Why don't we have a schema? Schematics. Yeah, here. So we have schematics, we have store, because I want to create it really quick, and we have this already. So I think we could do this, like do this, and I think we should be good then. So generates an initial setup for a state management, registering new feature sets. It registers DevTools integration and generates a state management file containing state interface, object map of reducers, associated meta reducer. Cool. So we have either a store that we could create, we have an action generator that we could create, like this. We have a selector that we could create, effect that we could create. Cool. So let's do that. Let's do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use schematics to create all the files that we just talked about. So we have installed so far ngrx store. We have installed store DevTools. We are going to install effects, and I'm going to tell you what effects really mean. But then finally, we are going to use the schematics, which will make our lives really easy and we don't have to code a lot of things. So please add that. Thank you. And then I'm going to do this. So ng add ngrx schematics. And the schematics basically means that I'm going to run a command and it's going to generate a lot of code, just like Angular CLI does it. So we're going to create a something like this, ng generate store state and app module.tss. So in here, I'm going to do this ng generate store. We're going to call it app state root module app module ts. So if we do this, let's see what happens. It generates a folder called reducers, creates a TypeScript file inside it, and then adds it to the module.ts, right? So that's what it does. Wait a second. Is dev mode, blah, blah, blah. And we don't have environment files yet. So should we create those? We could. Let's create some files. Inside the source folder, we are going to create an environments folder. We're going to create an environment.development.ts. And we're also going to, we're also going to create another file. We're going to call it environment.production.ts. So now, or actually this development, this should be renamed to environment.ts. Shouldn't it get it now? Let's see. So app module, you go out, you go to environments. Is it correctly spelled? Yes, it is. And then you have, because I've not exported anything. So export default, or you could say something like const environment equals production false, and here export default environment. So now our app module, I think, or actually you don't have to do it default export, but rather export const. Yeah. So the module is happy now. I'm going to save this file and see what happens. So store module for root, store dev modules, blah, 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 effect module for root, store module for root, reducers, meta reducers. So it did something there. Instrument. Okay, so that means I could have just added the schematics like this one, and it should have done it automatically. Cool. So then I can remove this. I can remove this, and we're good. Cool. So store module, store dev modules, and we have effects module. Now that we have these, let's actually see where did we get our reducer. So in the reducer, you can see we got something like a state, a reducer map, and then we got a meta reducer, right? So I think this is what we would mostly go for. So when we're creating a store, we created the store just like this, but now we want to create some actions. We already have a reducer that we could create. So let's do it. Generate a reducer file and add it to define map of reducer generated from feature state. So this is what we want to do. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to run this command, but let's see what this really says. So we are saying Angular, generate a reducer for me, call it something like login, and add it to this map automatically. So if I hit enter, see what happens. Should we add success and failure actions to a reducer? For this one, I don't think so. So we're going to say no. So in here, you can see that it added a couple of things. So it added from login feature key to both the reducer map and also, yeah, and that's it. And in here, you're going to see that we have a login.reducer that we have created right here. This is stupid because I don't want it to be created here. So I'm actually going to revert this. Let's do it my way. So I'm going to delete these reducers. I do want my reducers to be within the reducers folder. So I'm going to rerun the command, but I'm going to do something like reducers/login, right? So my file is generated there, and it's always good to run with the dry run flag so you can see what's really happening. In this case, you're going to see that, no, we don't want that. Yeah. And now I have to adjust the path. So it would be this. So we are saying, hey, go and generate a reducer inside a reducer's login. But then the path of the index.js is you go out one folder and then you do this. So let's see if this works. Nah. And this should work, right? So this will create the login reducer file. This will update the reducer index.ts. That's what I want. So I'm going to remove the dry run now. And we're also going to add a user, no, not the user, but quiz reducer. So quiz reducers with the same thing. Let's see if it works it out. Should we add success and failure? Oh no. Wait a second. Yes. Why? Cool. So in here, it created this one, but it didn't add this from login. Oh, it did actually. Sorry, my bad. So now you can see that we got from login feature key, and here we got quiz feature key. Good, good, good. So we got two different states, one for login and one for quiz. And in here, you can see those states here. So what I'm going to do now is, if you have a look at here, where is it? The login reducer. This doesn't have anything. So we're going to copy the states from our React app. In our store, the login had two things. It had username and set username. And then we had a couple of other things in the quiz one. So we're going to take it from there. So we're going to go to index.ts and to the login state. So we're going to just have a username of type string. That's it. The initial state would be username having a empty array. That's it. We're going to save this. And now if I go to my app, you're going to see something interesting. So I inspect, I go to Redux, and in here, you're going to see store init. And if I look at the state here, there you go. You can see login having the username as empty, and the quiz is empty because we don't have anything there. So we already are seeing our state right here. This is really good to know, or good to work with when you're working with NGRX. So we got the username right here. Now we're gonna work on the quiz feature. So what about the quiz feature in this case? So if I go back to the store file, let's actually get rid of the other files. So now if I go to the store, you're going to see that we have an array. We have an array of questions. We have a total score and current question. So those are the things that we want to work with. These are actions or functions that we want to perform, but we're going to work with these. Sorry, I'm looking at one thing. Yeah, we're going to work with these functions later on. So we're going to go to quiz state. In here, we should have this questions, array of quiz question, initial state, questions being empty, total score being 0, score being 0, current question being null. And that's it. We're passing the initial state. So look at how we don't have to really code all of these things and just put like things in there. The quiz feature key is called quiz. The login feature key is called login. Easy peasy. And then you use it and you pass it. Alrighty. Now that we've got these, let's talk about the actions to create. So we want to perform login first. So we are going to work with login first. So what we need to do is to create action. So we are going to call it like this: ng-generate action user. Okay. Within nested folder. We'll see. We will see. So we're going to go to generate this. So ng-generate action user. And I want, oh, no, wait. So we want to make it something like reducers or actions user. And this should be not actions user, but actions login. I do want to restructure it a bit, but I'm going to keep, or I can actually do it. So I'm going to say store. I'm going to move reducers within this store. And that also means that my other files would be automatically updated. If they don't, you're going to go to app module and make sure that you're importing them from store reducers like this. Okay. Anyways, now what I want to do is I want to make it something like store/actions/login. And if I do a dry run, let's see what happens. What should be the prefix of the action? It's going to be called login, right? Or we could call it auth, to be honest. Should we generate success failure actions? Let's say yes. Then it would create this actions file into store actions and login action ts. Easy peasy. So we run the same command, but without dry run. It's going to create a new folder here called actions. So we're going to say login, success and failure action. No, for login, we don't want that. So store actions, login actions. And here you can see that we have login logins. Oh, what? Login logins. So we're going to rename this action, I believe. But what if I do it again? What happens then? Does it say this file is already created? What should be the prefix of the login list? Let's see. Nothing to be done. Nothing to be done. That's cool. All right. Anyways, so we call this function login and we call this login or login user. Create action, login user. Cool. Now that we have this, we are going to also create a selector. ng generate se selector name options. So we got ng generate selector user. So we're going to generate a selector, but something like this. So ng generate selector store selectors, and then we got log, or can we say login? Or should we have said users in that case? I'm now just thinking. Login reducer. Should we call it auth reducer instead of login? But then I would have to rename everything, because I'm always skeptical about the reducers. Let's do it. Let's call it auth. So we do a reducer. We call it auth. Please generate it. Success and failures, no. Source app reducers, index.ts does not exist. What? Isn't it correct? So we have, oh, because store. Sorry, I forgot store. Store reducers auth. Sorry. Store reducers auth. Why are you using old version of NG? Also, now the standard is to use much more maintainable action groups. Could you point me to the link, Michal? Or is it Michal, if I am accurate? So we got the auth reducer created, which means I can get rid of the login one. Login state, login reducers, cool. Then we can add the actions. We're going to call it auth. Just check the actual version of ngrx. Oh, because I'm using the v9 version. But then because it took me to v9 version. You're actually right. That's stupid. You're right. I didn't notice that at all. But then I can then get rid of everything at completely. So no store then. No store. Nothing in the app module then. Get rid of this. What else did we do? Nothing apart from that, right? So app module is clean. We get rid of all of this. We get rid of, yeah, we keep it like that for now. But when I installed all the, but that's weird because when I installed all the package, installed all the latest ones. Also, the schematics is of version 14. So why do you think it would generate things from version 9? Why would you think that? So DevTools is 15, route effects is 15, store is 15, and schematics itself is also supposed to be 14.3.2. And now I deleted the folders. Why do I do these things to myself? So we got the reducers. Let's remove this. All right, let's see. So let's see if I can run the schematics. We did create these schematics, and we said, hey, we're gonna say store app state. So we're gonna say store app state, or we could call it state rather, root module app module ts. Let's do that. We're gonna go one up. So we added the store module for root, all of the things that are there. Let's add the other things quickly. Yeah, because the question then should have been, why are you looking at the old docs rather and not using blah, blah, blah. All right, so we got quiz reducers. Let's do that. Should we add success and failure actions to a reducer? I think yes, that would be the case. Oh, but then please do store reducers quiz. Yeah. So you go store reducers. Can I double check? So store reducers quiz. Cool. Now we got store reducers auth. Success failure, no. Then we create the actions. So let's do that. Store actions login or store actions auth. What do we call it? We should call it auth, to be honest. Should we generate success failure actions? No, not for this one. Then we also got quiz. Then we have quiz. Hey Nadeem, how's it going? Success and failure, yeah. So in this one, we got store actions auth, and here quiz. Cool, cool, cool. And now we go to our reducer here. We have quiz, we have auth reducer here as well. So yeah, I now got to do everything from scratch. So what happened here? Environment. Shouldn't it be like this? Yeah. So we got that here, and now we got a store actions, quiz actions, and auth reducer. So in here we should have a username, type string, username, string, empty string. Then we got a quiz reducer. We discussed a couple of things, and now I got to copy it from all of our questions from here. So it should be something like this: quiz reducer.tas, quiz question, do this, go here, put this. It's going to be empty array. This is going to be a number, 0, question mark, 0, question mark, and then current question to null. Score should be a number. What question mark? Cool. So we got this here. Are you a full stack developer, Nadeem? Yes, I am. I'm a software architect. I'm a full stack software architect. All right. So now that we got the states done, let's have a look at the app right now. So I'm going to go to here, refresh. You can see auth. You can see quiz. The initial state of that. It hurts my eyes. How can I go to the dark mode, please? Theme. Ah. Uh. Where? Dark. Atom or dark? Yes, please. No, it's not dark though. Dark. Ooh, finally. Let's go. Offer someone to us. That's a interesting name. So I did want to use the same one as before. Which one was that though? Wasn't it material or was it default? Yeah, default. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I like this one. So we got username, blah, blah, blah. Which language encoding? JavaScript, TypeScript, CSS, SAS, and whatnot. A bit of Java, a bit of C++. Skin suits on sale. I don't think so. Not this one as well. All right. So now that we've got this, let's talk about the logout functionality. Okay. So we created some actions. We want to create some selectors. So we are able to select the user state. So we are going to generate selectors. So we're going to go to here. We're going to go to state, store. No, it was supposed to be schematics. No. View, developer tools, schematics. There you go. Schematics. There you go. Selector. There you go. So we do this. We say ng generate selector user. So we say ng generate selector store slash selectors slash auth, right? This will allow us to generate host wedding at Athlon. No, I am already married. So auth actions, then you got quiz actions, then you got selectors, auth selectors. There you go. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to look at the documentation from here. So selectors are supposed to be like this. So you select a feature state and then you just return those things back. So we're going to go and select the username. So we have this state, auth state, in which we have the username. So we're going to select that, right? So what we are going to do is we're going to go to our auth selectors. We're going to say const create, select username. Can I just copy this, please? Yeah, I'm going to do this. Feature state, counter number, select feature count. So in here, I'm going to copy this. So the feature that we are trying to select is called select auth. So we are selecting auth from the root state. This state, we can rename it in our index.ts. So instead of state, we can call this app state, right? And in auth selector, we can import the app state, thank you, from reducers. And then the feature that we want to go for is called login. Oh, sorry, it's called auth. So you can see the auth coming up in the, you can see in the IntelliSense, it comes in here. So select auth, and now I want to do select username. So I'm going to select the auth, and then from the, how do we do it? We can do something like, the way it is in reducers, it does something like this. So from auth. So here I'm going to say blah from reducers slash auth reducer. So I'm going to say from auth dot state dot username, right? Beyond the pregnant juice. Too late for it. Also too late for this one. So I'm going to save this now, but shouldn't we have selected the create? No, wait a second. We can say feature state, app state, select feature, create selector. But our okay, because create feature selector, then that's not used. Cool. All right, now that we've got this, taste the rainbow. No, I will not taste the rainbow. That sounds yucky. Nice. Nope. Not today. Not today. Not tomorrow. So I'm gonna go to our components, header components, and in here I'm gonna use the selector. So here I could say something like a username or username dollar is supposed to be an observable unpoppable pimples. What? This keeps getting better and better. So observable unpoppable pimpers. Damn. Okay. So import from RxJS, and we are trying to import something called internal/observable. So we import what? Observable. Is it deprecated? Or is it this? Yeah. So what we do here is that we say this is going to be of type observable of string. Send Jimmy Miggle to the crawl space. Jimmy wasn't Jimmy Miggle the one in, I mean, I'm getting a lot of messages, which is good for the stream, but I don't know. I don't want spam bots there. So we got this observable string, and we're gonna say constructor. In here, we're gonna say this dot username equals, and we also need this store in here. So can't we do inject store? Or do we have with store though? That's a good starting point, because when you do installation, what do you get? Because of this new thing with Angular, injecting reducers. Hello, make a chat like GTP AI web app. What do you want in that app, to be honest? What would that app do? Or do you want me to implement my own AI? So this is supposed to be something like, if I had to inject store, I would be calling store from ngrx store, and that would be of type from login dot state, I think. No, it would be app state, right? So store of type app state is going to be like this, or I could do something like store equals inject. Can't we import things like inject here? Like, I think we can do it. Inject, and then you do store, right? Isn't that store t object? Is it going to be app state? Yeah, we'll see if this really works. So this dot store dot select, and then select username. Ooh, this is cool. ChatGPT, most popular website, artificial intelligence. But I don't understand your question. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to create a similar app like ChatGPT, or do you want me to use ChatGPT to do something? Because both of them are pretty different. So this is going to be username async. So let's see if our selector works. Right now, if you see at the top, we don't have the username because this is empty. But let's try this. So we go to our auth reducer and we set this to Ahsan. Now our app should have Ahsan, as you can see here, and it also shows here. Yay! Awesome. So our ngrx state is working fine. So I'm gonna make it empty for now, so we don't show anything. And then also we should have a state where we can say if it's logged in or not. Fun with the lifeless. Hey, how's it going? Are you also going to say Lalo Salamanca is coming for me, or what? So now that we have this, let's talk about the reducer. So auth reducer is here, which has a Make like ChatGPT web app? No, I don't think I'm going to do that. There's already one ChatGPT. Why would I create another one? And also it works. It has a huge AI behind it. There's a lot of code that's already there. Why would I do it myself? That sounds stupid and sounds like a lot of work. So we got a created user, initial state, then we can use the on method to create more. So we have on. Is that right? I love having with whatever that was. Can we block list and restream chat? Yes, thank you. All right. So let's have a look at the reducers. So in here, when we have a reducer, we can create some actions and we can say initial state on this, do this, on that, do that. So in here, I'm going to import all the actions, the auth actions. So I'm going to say something like import star from actions, auth actions, and I'm going to call this star as auth actions from auth actions. And in here, Quantum says, what the hell, what are with these spams? I don't really know. I think if a stream is going really good, then it starts doing that for some reason. So now that we have this, let's say on. In here, we're going to create a function. We are going to say on the action that is auth actions dot auths. Let's change that. We're gonna call it login. We're going to say auth login, right? And in here, we're going to just put auth dot login. So on auth login, we're gonna have a state that is supposed to be of type state. So this should be of type state, right? And then it should return back the state, but it would change the username to the action that has been submitted. So this is supposed to have an action. So this action, have they defined the type here? State home, but what about the action itself? What about the action? What about the action? Where is the action? So yeah, this is what I was talking about, but what about the action? Where is my action? On. Anyways, let's see. So this action, this is supposed to be of type either of those action, right? So in this case, when we have the action login, we could say action dot, and then there should be a payload that's not there. Ali Raza says, what are other languages you're using other than React.js? So React, Angular, and SolidJS. So create action takes a type. It also takes, shouldn't it also take a payload then, right? No? Config, action created props. Shouldn't it be something like, wait a second, create action. Props. Oh, I'm so lost. It has been quite a long time since I did this. So let's see. So this should be something like, yeah, the props. This is what I wanted. So what we do here is we have the first parameter as the name and the second parameter as the props we want to pass. So this is going to be props, and then it's going to be a username string, and that's it. Right now, we just take the username, we log the user in. Poof. Action dot username. There you go. So this means that now if I fire this login function, it's going to change the state and make it so that the username changes. I'm going to also do one more thing. I'm going to also put a state here, or a selector actually. I'm going to create another selector. I'm going to make it say that if the user is logged in or not. So export const select is logged in. And this is going to just return a Boolean, which means that it is returning a Boolean value. You can see the Boolean value here, which says if the user is logged in or not. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my home page. Let's quickly go to the home page. Home component. And here you're going to see that even if I'm not logged in right now, which I'm not logged in right now, the username is empty, it still shows the logout button. So we're going to make sure that that doesn't happen. So in the header itself, you can see here we have this username, but we don't really limit this UI to not show these things if the user is not logged in. So I'm going to actually cut this, make it a ng container. Inside this ng container, I'm going to paste these. And then we are going to have another selector here. So this one is going to be called is logged in. This is going to be type of Boolean. And we are going to set it here. This dot is logged in equals this dot store dot select is logged in. And that's it. So now it's going to show if if is logged in with the async pipe. And that's it. So it's going to get the logged in and then it's going to show it. We could have used the username for it as well, but I didn't want to do it. What web app are you creating, Ali Raza? I'm creating this quiz app. We already have this in React. So you get a bunch of quiz like this, JavaScript, and you answer those. You can see that there are numbers here. And once you answer those, you get score. And then once you're done with all of the questions, you can retake the quiz like this. So this is the app that we're creating on Angular, React, and SolidJS. And my camera died, so I'm going to fix that. All right, so now if I go to log out, I think we're good. And what I'm going to do now is, so we got document right, hello world. Let's go to Angular app. And now we're going to dispatch an action that logs the user in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dispatch an action from the login page. So login page is very simple right now. I want to put this on a form. So this on submit is not really a case here. This is not how Angular works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function. We're going to call on form or form submit. So form submit is going to be a function in which we are going to get the value from username. So here I'm going to use a template variable. I'm going to call this username input. And then when we submit, we're going to use the, I think it's called the submit event. And in here, we are going to then pass the on form. No, it's called form submit. Form submit function. And in here, we're going to pass the value from the username input. So username input dot value. And once we do so, we are actually passing in the string in here. So in here, we are going to get a username of type string. And in here, we are just going to log it. So console.log username, right? And in here, now that we have the form submit here, it's important to notice that we should also be making this submit button disabled if we don't have a value. I don't know if we do it here or not. So log out. Can I say submit? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't also disable it, but let's do it. So we disable the button if we don't have a value in input. So if we go and say username input.value, if there's no value, then please disable it. So in Angular app, now if I go to the login page, this button should actually be disabled. So you can see the disabled is set to true. If I click this, nothing happens. If I click here, it probably would do something, but yeah, is it disabled as well? Did we disable it? No, we did not disable it. So this would actually work, but it wouldn't do anything per se, right? So we disable this button. And then once we submit, so this means that we are not logging anything in the Angular app. So if I submit, nothing happens. If I press A, submit, it doesn't do anything as well. And let's see why that is. So we got the form here. we have the user, but this should also have a name. Ideally this should have a name, so we could call this username. And now if I submit, you can see that it does something. It refreshes the page. So it is now submitting the form. But what we also want to do is to prevent the default submit behavior. So we can pass the event here. And here we're going to say event form submit. Or is it form event? And here we could have something like event dot stop immediate. Oh, it should be prevent default. So now if I go and do this submit event, oh, because it should be submit event, sorry, it should be submit event. So now if I go and not fill anything in here, hit submit, you can see that the username comes here. Even though this is empty, this is still submits it, the empty thing. So let's see why is that the case. So in the login component, it should be disabled if the input has no value. It makes sense. Then what really happened though? Let's see. If I refresh now, remove everything, click submit, it doesn't work. Cool. If I do this, submit, now even that doesn't work. That's weird. Login.component.ts. Let's do it like a dev. Submit, submit, doesn't work. And that is because we don't have the type submit. So we do that, we remove this, we hit submit, and nothing happens. We hit A submit, still nothing happens. Well, that's weird. Is it because this is still disabled? Oh, but this should have a value now. Does it not see it when this? Oh, because but this should actually work. I don't know why this wouldn't work. I could use ng model. I could use ng model. Let's say if I use username, but no, this should work. Why doesn't it work? That's weird. So if I remove this guy from here or remove the disabled, and if I do this submit, it comes in here. If I do this, it comes in here. So it doesn't change it when you have the username value. We'll see. Great. Appreciate the hard work and best of luck. Thank you. How can we make a backend in Express Node MongoDB for storing image, audio, videos? What's the type of audio, video, image type in string? I think. Please reply. AB. You don't. It really depends. You can use something called a multer. So Express multer. So multer essentially is something that you can use to upload files. And essentially what you do is you save your files into your either your storage or S3 or wherever you're saving, and then you create an entry in your database. So the files would be served into a storage, either your local or S3, and then you save the ID or the URL or the path of that file into your database. I hope that makes sense. So let's actually go ahead and use a ng model in that case. So we're going to say username string or username equals this. And then we got this username input. So I'm going to remove this template variable here. Then I can remove this and use username instead. And then here I'm going to use the ng model username. And then I can say not username. So now that we have this, let's import the, in the imports, we have the common module, but we also want the forms module. because otherwise ng model doesn't work. So we imported forms module, we use ng model, we used username. Let's see. So we're going to go and see if this is disabled. This is right now not disabled. If I remove this, you can see it immediately got disabled. If I go to console, do this, nothing happens. If I type AAA submit, you can see it here. Cool. Now that we've got this on the submit, let's move forward by dispatching the action. So instead of console, we're going to say login, and we're going to just dispatch this with the username. So this is going to receive username, and we're going to also take the storage in here. So we're going to say store app state equals inject, and it's weird that it doesn't automatically do it. Inject, and then here you get store app state this, and now you could do this dot store dot dispatch login username. So once you do this, it's gonna work flawlessly. So we're going to go to Redux, and here I'm gonna say something like Ahsan Ayaz. When I hit submit, you're gonna see this auth login action being dispatched. Woohoo! And here you can see my name now, because as soon as we dispatch this action, it updates this. So see how it was before, nothing here. Now on login, it changed to Ahsan Ayaz because I submitted it, right? And then you can see that you can see the difference as well. For example, if you want to see, hey, how did this guy change the state? So you can see that the username became from empty string to Ahsan Ayaz in this case, right? Now let's also implement the logout feature. So in the header, we're going to go and implement a function. We're going to call this logout. In here, we're going to say this dot store dot dispatch. And now we should have an action for log out. So we're going to go to auth actions. We're going to create a copy of this. We're going to call this log out. We're going to call this log out. This is not going to receive any props. And then what it should do is we're going to call this logout function log out. No, it should import it, log out. But did I export const logout? Yeah, please. So this should do log out from auth actions, and like this, right? So this dispatches it. Now I have to handle this, because even if we do this, it's not still going to work. For example, I could put a click here, and that should say log out. So on click, call this function. Now if I log in right here, let's say test submit, you can see test here. If I click log out, you can see the action being dispatched, but it doesn't do anything. If I see the difference, states are equal. So states do not change because of this logout thingy. So what I would want to do rather is handle this. So I'm going to go to reducer, and in the reducer, in the auth reducer, I'm going to handle the on log out. So on log out, we're going to return the state, but we are going to empty the username. Easy peasy. So now if I try to do Ahsan submit, see the logout here, and click log out, you can see that it now changes. There's a difference that it changes Ahsan to empty state. The state in this case becomes this. So it was Ahsan before, now after logout, it's this one. So yeah, that's hello, I can't still fix that domain issue. Could you share what is your domain provider? Because I do want to look into it, but I don't want to stop in the middle. So you can send me the detail on Discord, and then we can chat. So now that we have the header component also doing logout, the only thing that we need to do is to store these things into storage. So what we want to do is we want to have an effect that stores these things to the storage. So we're going to go to NGRX here, and then we are going to go to developer tools, schematics, and effect. In the effect, we want to do this. We want to generate a user effects and register with the root Angular model in the root level effect. Yes. So we want to do this, but we want to do it with the correct path. So here we're going to say store effects, and here we got auth effects, and then root the app module. So I think we're going to have to come out of 2 folders like this. Let's run a dry run and see if this works. So dry run. Should we wire up success and failure actions? I would say yes in this case. I would say auth would be that. So app module does not exist, it says, right? So that means the module that we want to do is this one then. Let's see if that works out. Nah. So this would work. So we don't need to do .. blah, blah, blah. So app store effects, auth effects. Cool. I think we're good. So I'm going to do this, remove this, and now let's register some effects. The effects that we want to do is basically because we want to store things into the local storage. So when we are doing login, logout, it should also remove things from storage. So I'm going to go and show it here to you. So in the reducer or in the effects, we have this auth effects.ts, and here we don't have anything, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to start creating an effect. So let's look at the definition or the documentation of effect. So installation, blah, blah, blah. Overview is the one that we want. So you do a, where is it? Writing effects, yeah. So this is what we want, load movies. So it looks something like this. So we give this a name, we call this login, then we have the actions.pipe happening. We're going to take the type out of it. So we're going to call this login, or actually auth, and then login. And then you have a merge map and you have some other things. So let's import the missing imports. And let's see. Then we also had this movie service, so we don't really want that. So what we want to do is of type merge map. No, we don't want merge map. We should do a map in here, and then catch error should be empty. And then in this one, what we want to do is this. So keep it simple. And we also return and the empty from here. Is that accurate? Simple observable, blah, 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 blah. Type is empty. Am I missing something? Let's see. So it says type is declared here. Expected time for return above this signature. Would I have to make it of empty? I think yes. No. Can I get off? I don't think so, right? Type is declared. Anyways, so we do an auth login. Then what we want to do is we're going to take the username from the action. So I assume that I'm going to get the action here. This is supposed to be action dot. It says, that's sad. Let me see. I need to type it better. Provide store, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is what I wanted. Login action dot login. Yeah, exhaust map, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is what I wanted. So instead of doing this, I should be doing something like this. So auth actions dot login, and that means I'm gonna import as auth actions from actions auth actions. So now I should get the type. So action dot, there you go, username, right? So I gotta store this into this storage. So here I'm gonna say something like here storage key equals quiz app user, right? Quiz app user. Is it what we are using in the React one? Let's have a look. So in the application, we got this. So it says quiz app. In that we have the state, questions, blah, blah, blah. So we are going to store these differently. So storage key for this one is different. So we're going to say return, or not return, but first local storage dot set item this dot storage key, and then we say action dot username. So we store the username right there. Cool. Now we return empty. Now this complains. Why does this complain? Observable never is not assignable to type effect result action with an action. Okay. But why do we have that? So we should have a dispatch false. So we do a create effect that starts here, then ends here. But then this guy should be doing something like, if I do a merge map, then I'm returning an of empty, which I don't really want to do, because this should affect result of action. But what if I don't want to do an action? That's super weird. Do we have an effect result? No. If I do a tap in here, then that doesn't really reflect or send back the action. And that's what I am interested in. Because if I do something like return of log out, so that one doesn't work as well. All right, we'll see. I can't send messages for some reason. I don't know why, but can you accept my friend request? Yes, let's see. Let me quickly do that. Discord. Let's do that really quick. I'm going to close this one. Direct messages. Pending. What's your name there? Pippin. Got it. Accepted. Cool. You should be able to send messages now. All right. So let's see what's wrong with this. When we're working with effects, we are saying that we're going to have a create effect, which takes an action. So we say off type and then feature actions action 2. If we wanted to do a tap, then this is what we wanted. So we want to do a tap. We don't want to catch something from here. What does this one do? No, nothing. Cool. Then we got this one. Oh, wait a second. So pipe, that ends there. We shouldn't be returning anything. And am I missing something from here? I think I'm missing a bracket, right? Then what is this one? Oh, because of pipe. Then this is the one I'm missing. Yeah. So then type import rxjs. There we go. So when we do login, we're going to save this. And when we do log out, always good to see the documentation. So this is of the type log out. And then we just clear, remove item, storage key, right? So now there shouldn't be any action on this one. And these are effects registered. How are they registered? If I go to my app module, auth effects are automatically registered when we ran this command, ngGenerate effect. And if I go to auth effects, this is what we have already, login as an effect or logout as an effect. What this means is that apart from reducers, this is also going to be triggered when we do login and logout. Do you want to see it? Yes, we want. So let's do a submit here. So you submit, you can see that we got a name here. And if I go to application, local storage, you're going to see that we have quiz app user that is stored here. Yay! And now if I log out, you can see that it got removed automatically. Yay! So we have this persisted in the storage. So quiz app user, log out, gone. Now let's quickly redirect the user when we are logged in. We could either do it in the app component, or otherwise we just redirect this stuff. So one thing that we want to do is we want to be able to go to the home page only when we are, I'm going to remove all of this, only when we are logged in and not when we are not. So if you go to the quiz app, you're going to see that we are at login. If I try to go here, hit enter, it takes me to the login page. In React, what we did was we were doing this here in the app TSX. And in here, we got the login page and the home page here. And we had a use effect up top here where we're looking at the username. And if it's not logged in, we always take you to the login page. Easy peasy. So you cannot go to home page. In Angular, we have a good way of doing this by using something called Angular guards. So in here, you have this can activate Angular guard that you could create. And that essentially means that you're creating a guard that would stop the user to go to a particular page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a guard now. So I'm going to go and say ngg guard, and we're going to say guard/auth. So we are creating a auth guard, doing a dry run. Let's see what this does. So this asks, what can it do? Can load, can match, can activate. So I'm going to say can activate a route. Hit enter. It creates the auth guard file inside the guards folder. So I'm going to run it without the dry run. And now I'm going to use this. And now what I want to do is to go to the guards now. And I'm going to go to auth guards. And here is the guard that we already worked with. Now what I want to do is to inject store here. So if we don't have the user or the store, then we can, if we don't have the user logged in, then we are going to return false, otherwise true. So here I can say something like const is logged in equals, and this is supposed to be an observable, of course. So here I could say something like inject, and we're going to import inject from Angular. I like this new syntax, so I'm going to use that. So store of type app state. Can I import it? Yes, please. So I'm importing the store, and I'm going to say dot select. And in here, I can provide the selector. So I can say select is logged in. This becomes is logged in. And what I want to do is to just return is logged in dot. And I want to see if this is logged in or not. So I'm going to just check it via using the pipe keyword. So is logged in dot pipe. And I'm going to take one value out of it. Take. Now I have to import it from RxJS. So take one. And here I'm going to say map. So take one and then map into the file. So we are going to do map. And then it's going to be is logged in, if it's logged in or not. Right? So I could either do this or that, whatever makes more sense. So I'm going to say logged in here, and then we just return the value. Or actually, let me think. Yeah, I don't even need to do this. I can just do this. Or I don't even need to do take one, to be honest. Or I could do take one. That's fine. So now it's going to see if the user is logged in. If the user is logged in, we are going to return it. Otherwise, we're not going to return it. Okay. So this is going to trigger every time we want to go to this route. So let's make it take one and not create a lot of subscriptions in there. So it's going to take one and then see whatever is there. So now if I want to apply this guard to the route, I'm going to go to routing module. And here where we have the home page, we're going to add guards here. So we're going to say can activate takes an array. We're going to call auth guard. Easy peasy. Now that we have this, let's try this out. So I'm going to go to quiz app, and here I'm going to try to go to the home page. If I hit enter, it doesn't do anything because we have some errors. Inject must be called from injection context such as constructor, a factor function. Ooh, I can't do that. So that means I got to do something like this. So we got to have store app state. I'm going to make this constructor. And then I need to do this. Yeah, I think it makes sense. So we got this inject store. Then, so I can do similar to what I've been doing in other places. So this dot store equals inject store. And then I do this. I do this dot store dot select is logged in, or I could just return it. But anyways, so now if I try to go to home page, it does nothing. That's cool. Let's see what's happening. So auth.guard, we should have taken this. And now if I return this, so this selects the value of is logged in. Right now, it's going to say that it's not logged in. And then we return false. So this shouldn't be triggered. So it doesn't, wait a second, but it does show the home page. Let's see. So instead of this, let's do this. So we're going to do map. We get the value out of it. So we say logged in, return logged in, right? So far it's good here. If not logged in, then we want to redirect to home page. So we're going to say this dot, we're going to have to do a router here. So we can do something like private, or I mean, I could also do router, something like that. Router, and yeah, this dot router equals inject router, and then we could do something like router dot navigate. This is supposed to be an array, and this is supposed to take us to login. So refresh, let's see what happens. So we inject stuff, we go here, we take one, we get the value of is logged in and see what happens. So in here, the is logged in is false. It goes here, it returns a false value and navigates us to login page. And you can see now we are at the login page. Yay! So now no one can go to the home page without being there. So now that we are on the login page, I also want to test one more thing. So in here, this is supposed to return a promise boolean. So now I'm on the login page. If I try to go to the home page, it shouldn't let me, but it renders it still. And I don't understand why. Is it because it should rather say can load? I think. Let's see. For this one, we should probably have a can load, right? I think so. Auth guard, can you load this page? Is logged in false. Let's see. So we are going to say auth guard Angular with standalone components. guard, route, provide router, load component, load children, can activate. No. I would say guard, route guard with the Angular. But I do want route guards. Can activate. No. Route guard. Functional guards in Angular. Is that the one? Yeah, this is what I wanted to see. So you have that. Can match guard, can load guard. All right. So this can activate basically gets your service, pipe, tab, blah, blah, blah. You return the value. But isn't that what I've done? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's cool, but not really what I was looking for. All right, let's see what we're missing. So let's go and so we do have the is login that says to false. So this shouldn't activate at all. And this is the home route that we have put, right? So we got activate, auth guard, can load auth guard. But it's doing it right because we don't see the home page. Oh, what am I doing? We don't see the home page, but we still see the HTML. We see the header. We don't see the home page. So if I look at this now, sorry. So if I look at here, the main is empty. We don't have anything. But yes, okay, then we're good. So auth guard is here. We turn this guy. Be good. Cool. So now that we have the login working, let's talk about quickly the other things that we need to finish. We're probably not going to finish them today, or actually most likely not going to do it. So how about we wrap this up? I'm going to remove this code since we are not using it. And so are these dependencies. We don't want them. And we got the login logout working fine. So I'm going to remove the debugger, type Ahsan, go here. I can go to the, when we are done with the, yeah, we also need to do this, that when we are logged in like this, submit this, then we should also go to the home page. You can see this here, but it doesn't really do anything. So at least let's finalize the routing. So what I'm going to do is now, if we have this, if we go to the auth actions or auth effects, store effects, this, when we have set this to local storage, then we also should navigate to, then we should also navigate to the login page. So here we have router equals inject, not injectable, but rather inject. We do a router. So we inject the router. We import this from Angular router. And then we could do something like this dot this dot router dot navigate to home page after saving this. And once we are done removing, we go back to login. So let's try this. So we're going to say Ahsan, hit enter. We are at the home page now. If I hit logout, we go back to login. Cool. Now the only thing that's remaining is that if I'm logged in already and if I refresh, I'm logged out. It doesn't store it perfectly. So what we should do rather is when we load the app, we should see if the user is already logged in or not. So we could either do this in reducers or we could do it via an action. So I would prefer an action to do this. So when we do an init, we're going to listen to the auth action and we're going to mark this as logged in. So we're going to say something like if I go to actions, auth actions, we're going to create, and we are going to say get user from storage, or we could say something like load user. So load user, right? And then we could have a success, and we could also rather say set user. So we could say something like set username. Set username. So in here, we are updating the username. And what we should do is we should listen to the initial effect message. So if I go to, and this is a bit sneaky one. So if I go to the Redux, you're going to see something interesting. Store init. We have an action whose type is ngrx store init. When this happens, we're going to fetch the user from storage. So in our effect, let's go to our effect. And here we're going to say something like load user. This is going to be triggering when we do create effect. And here we give this the type. So this is going to be called auth. No, it's going to be called ngrx store init. And then here it's going to take an action. And this is going to, oh, am I doing it incorrectly? Yeah, I am. So this is supposed to take a function. And then this should say this dot action dot type. No, what is it called? Actions dot pipe. And then you have of type. You take this as the type. And then you say something like tab. And then you say dispatch equals false. No, it's not going to have dispatch false actually, but it's going to have a tab. In the tab, we're going to take a function. We're going to get username from local storage.get item, this dot storage key. So we're going to get the username. And then what we are going to do is we are going to return set username function with the username. Right? Am I missing something? And we could also say map rather. Am I missing something? So we got this dot action dot pipe, which takes off type. We have create effect, which takes a function. This function tries to get the username. And then you do a off type. Then you could do a type and then dispatch false. But I don't want to do dispatch false, to be honest. I want to dispatch. Oh, because the map is not imported. Import from RxJS, please. And then I could, can I remove the dispatch, please? Yeah, there you go. So the username should be sent like this. Set username, string null is not of type username. So this is going to be either this or this. So let's see what happens. So now if I try to refresh the page, it takes the init. If I go to fx.ts, it should actually come here. It doesn't actually. Of type action.login. But wait a second. Wait a second. I did a mistake, of course. So let's go to effects, installation, overview. Create effect, create effect, create effect. No, this is the right one. This should be good though. Load user, create effect. Do I have to export anything? No, I don't. Action.pipe, of type, tap, map. Oh, because maybe this is registered after this. Oh, but should I rather listen to if I think this is, oh, okay, I get it. Because, and this is happening because we don't, the store, this triggers before effects are triggered. So instead of that, we should be listening to the effects. So in here, if I go to application, no, not the application, but Redux, I should be rather listening to NGRX effects in it. Let's see if that fixes it. Yep, I was correct. So NGRX effect in it is dispatched later on, and then you can listen to those effects. So you get the username here, and now you will see that Redux right now doesn't have that, but this is going to set the user, ergo this is supposed to set the login. So now you can see that set username was triggered with the action and the value Ahsan. The state still says username because our reducer doesn't handle it. So I'm going to go to our, where is it? Auth effect, reducers, 2. Let's make it so that the auth reducer can work on it. So on, I think it's going to be the same as this one. But can I do and on, can it take multiple creators? Can you do multiple actions? No. Can I do something like this? Can I provide an array? No. That's sad. Could have done the same thing because I don't want to do twice. Anyways, set username. Set username exactly does the same thing. Now you will see that it would set it, but we are still on the login page. So if that's the case, you're gonna go to the home page in that case. So let's see. So if you're on the login page, then you should be not on the login page. As soon as you have a username, you could go directly to the I'm thinking actually. So you load the login page. You don't have a user at that time. You're loading it on fly, but then you send the user to the home page. Can we do better? I think we can. Because when we are injecting the auth card, can't we just do this, that we check the local storage and then we get it from the store? I'm thinking. All right, let's see. So we have the auth reducer, which does this. We have the auth effect that should also send navigate to username. If we have, let's say, we're going to say if we are on the login page and the user is there, only then we do it. But then this is weird because on login, if I'm on the home page, what happens then? Do I go to the login page first or no? No, I don't. But if I'm on the login page, which I can go there anytime, it shouldn't have it, right? So it shouldn't have the login page. So how about we also put this in the auth guard then? We can check what route it is, right? So if not logged in, this router.navigate to login. We're gonna see if this router dot snap path current. It should be actually in here. Can activate. This can activate does have a couple of things. It could have. Let's see if I can put it back. Activated route snapshot. We're probably gonna use it now. So if route dot route dot URL includes login and is and logged in, and if we are logged in, includes URL segment, includes search element. But we don't have the URL itself. Is it a URL segment? Okay. Const params equals to search param. No. Let's see. We'll see. So if we are not logged in, or if we are logged in, then we do this router dot navigate to home and then return false. Otherwise, we are applying this to this. Yeah, cool. I think we're good. So just let's have a look at the route snapshot. So in this case, we should have a route.url that we have. URL segment should have a get title, get root, get parent map. URL segment should have a path URL dot we'll see. So if we are on the login page auth guard, we're going to put a breakpoint here, and then we are also going to put the route guard on the login page. So here we're going to also say can activate auth guard, and we can also remove the can load in this case. So in this case, let's do this. So if the route URL 0.path we have, so if we can fix this, so if the route.url 0.path equals login, then we do that. So if we have the route URL path equals login, then you navigate to home, you return false. And then if you go to here, then you're logged in. Oh, then you don't have any path. So URL 0.path. So we go there, it's not logged in, and then we got login. Cool. So if we go to login page, it's going to redirect us to home page again, like this. And if we are logged out, then this should take us back to the login page. Or have I broken? I think we're now in an infinite loop. So when we are logged out, it should set the store value to is logged in. Okay, let's see. Exit. So we broke into infinite loop. Let's see. We could make it easier if we didn't have to do this here. Because then I would be like, hey, if I'm logged in, please just take me to the other side. But then wouldn't it be cool if we could just say, hey, don't go to login if you're logged out? I think this should work, to be honest. I don't see why this is going to be a problem. Yeah, we'll see. So we're going to go to duplicate this, going to clear this guy. Let's go and open Task Manager. Tools, Task Manager. Quiz App Angular. Can we kill this guy? And process. Is it still running? Yeah, it is. Let's see. Open a new one. Kill the local host. Dedicated worker. No, not that one. Tab dev tools, quiz app React. No, not that one. I can't find the one. Let's see. All right, let's see. So we go to localhost 4200. That isn't there at the moment in the task manager. Dev tools, stack blitz, dedicated worker, blah, blah, blah. Uh-huh. All right, now it says no server. Cool. Let's see if we can see what's going wrong there. So here, when we log out, we try to go to the home page, but it's the same. I think since it is the same one, that's why this could happen. But let's see. If I'm logged in, if I'm on the home page and I'm not logged in, it's going to take me to the login page. But then if I'm logged in, then it's going to take me to home and return false in that case as well. Let's actually remove this one and let's see. Because I can see that this breaks. It breaks so bad that we can really not see anything else. So memory footprint, yes please, show me the one. So this is gone, but why can't I find? There should be defined in task manager. I don't know why don't we have it. Fine grain, tab 9, share, source, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. So now let's see. It still does the same thing. End process. Okay. So we already had some, let's see. I think we also did something in the effect. So maybe that's what's causing it. So on load user, we do effects in it. We send it there. Then in the auth, then in the auth guard, we have this here that maps it. Okay. Then let's have a look at the routing module. So in here, we have this one. Let's remove it from here. So on login, what I would want to do is if I'm on the login page, I don't want it to activate. And if I do this, then it goes into this infinite loop. Oh, because it keeps going to the login page. Damn. Okay. Okay. Now I understand it. End process. So now, all right. So let's say we put the guard here. Then that would mean that first is going to go and check if the URL path is log in, right? If it's logged in, then if we are already logged in, then you return this, else you return true. Turn true. So you allow going to the login page only if you're not logged in. Otherwise, you do navigate, home, and false. That was the logic missing. Let's see now if you're able to make it work. Yeah. So on login, it is like this at the moment. But if I say Ahsan, hit submit, it goes to the logout page. Super cool. Now, if I try logging out again, it comes here, it checks, hey, am I trying to go to the login page? Yes, I am. Am I really logged in? No, I'm not, because I just logged out. So it goes like this and then returns true. So you're allowed to go to login. Cool, we fixed it. So Ahsan, enter, it goes here. Now if I hit log out, or if I refresh now, you can see we are still on the home page. If I log out, we can go here, we can refresh. Cool, works like a charm. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the stream here. I think I'm very tired now, at least, or I should be feeling tired even if I'm not. So I'm gonna stop it right here, and in the next stream we are going to finalize the quiz part of it, and then in the next stream we are going to finalize the SolidJS part of it, and then we're going to combine a video about it. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for everyone who joined. I wish you all the best for the rest of the week, and yeah, hey duo, bye bye, ciao.